Welcome to the KFA Podcast, where our mission is to keep faith alive by kicking ass.
So, Amil, welcome to the pod.
Great to be here.
And thanks for jumping on. Man, I'm excited to have you here. This, I think, having you on kind of was born out of a conversation we had the other day where we kind of stopped ourselves halfway and realized, man, we should have been recording this the whole time. So I think we should just start doing our meetings like this, recording, because good stuff comes from it when there's good people having conversation. But I would love, if you don't mind, starting off kind of telling KFA. I know you know a lot of people in our community, but maybe a little backstory on you yourself, what brought you here, how you got here, Cliff Notes.
So just, I guess, my background. My background's in business and finance. And so once I graduated, I worked in finance for about 5-6 years. And then I've always had a passion for real estate. We've always bought, flipped, designed houses. And if I could do that for a living just solely, I would be in heaven. So I was like, let me buy a house, design it, flip it, the whole 9 yards. I'm good to go. And then I've been selling real estate consistently, if you will, for the past 2.5 years, but licensed since 2017. And got that primarily to,
on the investment side, the flip side.
On the investment side.
Gotcha. And man, how's it been going?
It's been crazy.
How are you hanging in there this year?
It's been crazy. It's been a tough year. I think I always say that when you're in real estate, you're a certain level of crazy, which I like to think I am. It's like we can move heads around, we can handle a lot, we complain about it, but at the same time we love it. And that's just kind of my life. A lot of people ask me, you're working too much, you're working 80 hours a week, you're not working enough. I do have other things that I do operate and work outside of it. I do run a family business, and I'm running my own business and looking to grow and connections, and constantly do both. But I wouldn't have it any other way, man. It's just, I don't do this. This is just my life. I'm in real estate. I love every aspect of it. Sometimes I find myself working with clients and they just literally call me up to, what's in trend right now? What's going on? How do you follow? Where it's just, you follow Architecture Digest and you follow what's going on. And then sometimes we're just talking about the market and how that's going. But everything about it, it's not my job. It's just who I am and what I do. So I love it.
Yeah. So, and I think that's good. We were having a conversation the other day kind of about this. Like, I think the people who actually enjoy what they're doing and enjoy the process and aren't just in it because they saw the dollar signs of commission checks and stuff.
Oh, we earn those.
A little bit easier to get through. Yeah, no, I mean, there's that benefit,
easy.
But if you actually enjoy the conversations you're having,
yes,
that sometimes they can get redundant after you've dealt with a lot of the similar situations. But
doesn't that help you get through the tough times, though? If you actually enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy helping people, you enjoy...
It makes a world difference. To me, I mean, part of it I'm with Century 21, and I operate under Haddad Property Group. That's myself, my team, my TC. And part of it is it's knowledge, creativity, and working with integrity is what our promise to our clients. And, the logo for us is we treat our clients like family. I can't tell you how much that resonates with me. I take pride. If I'm going to put my name behind something and if I'm going to work for you, it means I will treat you like family. I will do everything under the sun to make sure you are taken care of, even if that means deterring business away or telling you this is not a good fit for you. The reason I do that is we in our industry are constantly related to car salesmen. Nothing against car salesmen, but that stigma in that we just literally push someone into a position where we just make our commission and it's fast. And I think everything that we see on social media and websites and things like that, it just isn't the truth. There are some that way, and obviously we need to make sure we preserve the integrity of our business and people in this career. But I think you have to realize the magnitude and the effect that we have on people when we're helping to make the biggest, if not like the only transaction, typically the biggest transaction they'll have in their life. When you're working your whole life to build a house. To a lot of people, a house could be just a house. It could be a rental. It could be a home by every definition. It could be a place where they're housing and trying to build generational wealth. So that could mean it's them, their kids, their grandmas, their parents. And I think if you take that seriously, which I very much do, and I look at a holistic picture of their financial picture and their goals, you take a different approach to that.
Right.
And it tends to be a lot more involved. It really does. It's, I'm getting to know every aspect of it. Being working in finance, I always learned, and I started out in sales. To be the best salesman is not pushing; it's asking questions. You know, and
contrary to a lot of training in a lot of ways
Yes.
we've been told, a lot of businesses that want quick money, fast money, results, right?
Which is
American culture is, I think,
it's
a big
true.
part of that.
And I think what's nice about it too, not, I am American. I've been here for 22 years and this is home for me. But I do grow up around the Middle Eastern culture, and it does teach you basically, we work here to, especially in the States, we're constantly trying to network and trying to build relationships with people.
Yeah.
Where another way, I was even talking with my sister about this, that is our culture in a way. We're bred in that skill. Like when we go out and we have friends over or we entertain, it is always networking. You bring people in, they invite you over. It's not text messaging. You sit down and have conversations similar to what KFA does, is bringing the people together and constantly allowing them a safe space to communicate and educate and work with each other. I kind of realized that our culture does the same thing. We constantly have people over for tea and coffee.
Sure.
Or they invite us. Or there's a little bit of a, I guess, culture way and properly handling an invitation where you have to end it with tea. And if you don't start with coffee, if you don't start with tea and then desserts, and then we talk about what's going on, then you have to force them, and then you have to end it with tea, and then more coffee at the end of it, and then you kiss, and by the time you say goodbye, it's like another set of kisses goodbye, and it's like a whole process. It's silly, and sometimes it's crazy, but networking to me is as simple as like writing my name down or something. It's natural. You learn it. You build relationship with people, and you build trust. Right. And I think if you take that into what I do for a living, it's the same thing. It's sales without being salesy.
Right.
It's getting to know what they need without pushing it down their throat. And I think if you take the time to just follow your process and become natural and authentic when you're working with people, that's all it is. I've had clients literally tell me, and I have my marketing, my brand, and I haven't been in it as long as, the megas in the business. But I have literally clients tell me, we love your energy and just the fact that you've listened to us. Yeah. We're going to go with you.
And that the authenticity is, people are smart. They're smarter than we give them credit for. Yes. And those canned scripts, when someone's calling you and it's a scripted, it's really hard to seem organic when you are being scripted, or when you do appear to be coming across like the first thing you're looking for is what's in it for me.
That's very true.
And in a world like this, I do agree. The industry needs to be purged. But the benefit to those of us who are authentic is it's so easy to stand out just being ourselves by actually leading with value. And that's how we sell, is by building value with people.
And it's the beautiful thing. It's like no one else can be you. Right. Be you. You can do it best.
Sure.
Right? Who's going to take that from you? It's like, take your God-given skills, what makes you the best, and really project it out there. I genuinely feel, me being my authentic self and helping my clients, that I will do better by you than anyone else I know. Yeah. Not dismissing anyone else. And there's people that are much, much better at their job than I am. Sure. Right. But I do feel in my heart that I will give you everything I got. I will take care of you like my own mom and dad. And if you know me well enough, there's no one else in higher regard.
In this, I think one of the silver linings of this market that we're going through right now, it's like, we know the industry is going to be purged. We know there'll be attrition. Who's going to be the ones to fall out? And in my opinion, I think it'll be more of the sour apples, people that give us the car salesman name in our business, than the good people, because the good people probably have kept in touch with their people and actually given value, and they're continuing to have some baseline of referral and repeat business to help them sustain these times. I think the people who have just been super transactional, they're going to hurt really bad right now. And also, if they're transactional, it probably means they're in this business just for the money, not for the people. And if you can only fight that battle for so long and not be getting a lot of money before you throw in the towel and look for the next.
Money is never a motivator. I mean, previously I was studying, before I was in business and finance, I was studying to be a plastic surgeon. That was 21 years of the set plan for me. It's what I wanted to do. I almost got accepted to medical school, went in the whole process, and I backed out of it because it just was not for me. Yeah. You were like, the name, the status, the money. And it's like, if you chase the money, you're going to hate your life. Period. And honestly, you know this very well, especially in our business, money does not come easy. So I think you're right. It will weed out the people that aren't doing it because it's either a career, or they love it, or they're trying to help people. If it is very transactional and you're burning bridges with your clients, it won't last. Yeah. It's a tougher process because it's kind of why I got into the business in the beginning. I was always told that the nice guy eats last, and I was always the nice guy, and it just irritated the hell out of me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it really did.
I think Connor believed it.
Well, part of it just people, when I worked in finance, people were like, you have literally 5 seconds over the phone. It was started with internal sales to tell people, what you want if you can help them. Otherwise, their bullshit meter would go right off the bat, and they're like, we're not gonna accept it. And so going back to my comment where somehow being the nice guy was a bad thing, and that I could never be a businessman, so just stick with medicine, and it just never resonated with me, and I don't know why, but I kept looking for different ways where like you can be nice, you could do good by people, do well by other people, and God will give it back to you, or karma, or whatever you believe, and I do believe in that. And real estate was one of those things where I can build it as big or as little as I want. I've been very fortunate enough, very, very fortunate enough. The people I was associated with when I first started in the business, my mentors who've been agents, investors in the market, even just people that are much older than me. My dad is one of the wisest people I know, but he basically lives his life in metaphors. So every lesson I have, it's always some sort of lesson. He's like, hang it on your ear. You'll remember this one day. And I was like, okay. He's like, if you don't have an elder, go find an elder. Go find someone who will teach you. Because the experience that they have, especially someone who's willing to give you advice at no cost or no benefit to them, that's value. That's money right there in your life. And I've been very fortunate from my, both my father, of course, but people that I've had in my life in real estate, from agents and brokers, to have mentored me and guide me and just say, you do right, it'll come back to you. And that's how I build my business. I don't have leads. I don't pay for marketing. It's strictly my network referral, and I make what I make. I do well at it. I'm happy with it. And I'm hopefully building it some more. But all my clients until today have always been just people that have known me, or, I've built relationships with them and they come to me. So it's nice.
I think it was Alex Hormozy who talked about that being one of the tricks and one of the hardest lines to walk, because that is a common term. Nice guys finish last, and you got to look out for yourself and stuff. And I do think that if you're too nice and you don't have your own self-respect and like, here's my own boundaries, then you can easily get walked on and taken advantage of. And life's going to be tough if you never get to voice your opinion or get your say at all either. But I think, aside from that, if you have your own boundaries that you're willing to set with clients or people you're in relationship with, and then from there you're focused every day on what can I give versus what can I get, the more that you're putting out, the more it's going to come back to you. 100%.
And I think with it too is it's not being nice, but also having strength and being smart and knowing how to work it. I don't know whether it's a culture or just preconceived notions. If you're the businessman, you're typically walking in the gray, which if you do it smart and whatever, you're doing your job well. If you know what I mean. If you are the asshole, or you are doing something wrong, or you are constantly cheating people just to get a paycheck, if that's what business means, then I don't want anything to do part of it. I don't want to be part of it whatsoever. The reason why I put it literally straight up in my logo is working with integrity is I'll be smart, I'm knowledgeable, I'm very creative in how to work deals, how to do it, but it's all legal, it's all in the way it should be, it's all being smart and educated, and that comes through experience working with agents that are much smarter than I am, real estate loan officers that are much smarter than I am, teaching me the ways of how to make the deal work, how to get them started. To me, that's skill. If you know how to really put a deal together, being creative and moving hats around, but working with integrity, that's everything. The majority of people, I think, for me, and I don't know why this was my experience, but they expected me to just do shady things and to make it happen for them, and that's business. And it's like, that's just not the case. Like, I'm smarter than that. Why would I choose to do something wrong?
Well, we talk about this all the time because we're very confident in what we can offer. Speaking in terms of Cardinal Financial, we know that our value proposition is awesome, but in the world of everybody saying they're the best, look at me and a lot of people, it's a lot of bait and switch out there. A lot of liars out there. If you're one of the few, because you know yourself and you're true to yourself, you're one of the few authentic people who are actually under promising and with intentions to over deliver, and not to just try and deceive to get the quick deal or the quick money, because times are tough and we need the money right now. We need the paycheck. How do you think that, I guess, I don't know how to phrase this. I'd be curious about asking
my
both of you
mentality
guys.
behind it, you mean?
How do you get past that? Because obviously repetition and continuing to prove yourself helps you stand out. But I've found it really difficult and sometimes frustrating to get people to believe like, hey, I'm one of the good ones.
Here's my take on it. And I don't know if this helps, and not to be too much, talking faithful and just staying kind of on
I was
point.
going to go with it.
Yeah.
Keep faith alive.
My dad, again, the wisdom person, full of wisdom.
Sounds like a philosopher.
That guy should have been like 200 years old of his. I don't know. He's just a smart man. He's always told me one thing, and it's helped me because I think internally I'm extremely competitive and I want to do well. And I'm the type of person where I feel that if God has given you the dream or the idea or an image of a certain life, that you can imagine that, he's given you somehow, right, the resources or the ability to obtain that life.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge because for instance, my mom, love her to death. A happy and successful life to her is a small house, clean as can be.
Sure.
Family is happy, all this stuff. She doesn't imagine anything bigger. To me, my head's in the clouds, and I mean that literally. There's literally, it's out there. I want to do so much more. I want to support my family. I come from a family who have quite literally sacrificed everything. My family comes from very poor. So back home, to the point where it was 7 kids, they'd have to put bread in water and sugar for them to eat it. My grandma would make clothes out of potato sacks for them to make it work. They built themselves, all 7 siblings, to become very successful back home. Then we came to the United States and everything started all over again. So they lost quite literally everything. And they were like in the 30s and 40s, where you would think you were starting to build for retirement. To them, they did everything just to sacrifice. They sacrificed their lives for my sister and me. So when I see that, my success is taking care of them, making sure they don't have to worry about a dime when they're able to retire and work, and me being able to do that as well as achieve my dreams and the life that I want, and hopefully my wife and kids in the future, and to be able to provide for everybody. It's what I'm doing with the money, and it's how I choose to live my life. And at the end of the day, honestly, once I'm dead, that money doesn't come with me.
Sure.
So it's never about the money, it's how I'm using the money for. And it always goes back to what holds you true in line. To me, it's my values. I've learned this because being so competitive, when you go for a job interview or coming out of college, it's like you're competing with so many different people. I remember when I was working at the investment firm that I was at, they were saying 56,000 people applied for that position and me and 20 others got it. It's crazy competitive, right? And you would know, and I don't know, but it's crazy competitive. And it's sometimes really is who you know or the relationships you build. For me, I obviously want to be successful, but never compromise my integrity and my values. And so this line sticks with me in everything I do. I talked to my dad that day and I was like, I'm nervous. I don't know what to do, how to impress them. He's like, Amil, you have what you have to give, period. You give it your all, you give it your best. And he said, and it sounds so much better in Arabic because I can't translate the metaphor. Not everything translates. He's like, you could do everything under the sun. If that blessing is not meant to be yours, you will never get it no matter what you do. Period.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel so good because I will bust my ass. I will do everything I can to get a deal going. But if it's not for me, then no hard feelings. It's never meant for me. Like, I have faith that something better is going for me. Right. He knows my heart. He knows where I'm going. He knows what I'm trying to do with my life. And he's only gonna put me in a position where I am better off, never worse off. And so to me, when it comes to the mentality of having abundance or being scarce or not having faith to push you forward or competing in the market, it really is, it goes back to that. If you're successful, I'm more than happy for you. It was never meant for me.
Sure.
So why would I ever be jealous or push that towards you? You deserve that. That's meant for you. My business will come to me when it's meant for me, when I'm putting myself in the right opportunities, in the right place, doing the right tasks, whatever it is. And that's how I hold true to my values. I would never compromise that or my integrity or to do anything or be lured into doing something that's just not right, because this is the joking side of it. It's like, I feel like a big hand will like come and smite me. It's like karma, I'm good.
Yeah.
But also you're building your business based on relationships. And if you're going to build a business based on relationships, which we all agree is important, you have to treat each person with the highest of integrity. Yeah. If you compromise your integrity or morals because business is slow or times are tough, you might lose that relationship forever. You might lose every relationship that person could ever have referred you to forever. And so you're almost compromising your future for today. And so I think, to answer the question you asked, Dayton, if we try to treat people the right way and do things the right way, even when it's tough, the reward is what comes in the future, because you're not creating friction and resistance for your own success. If you're compromising in the short term because times are tough, it creates friction and resistance for the future. And so if you're not building a transactional business where you're just buying leads and a chop shop type business, if you're actually trying to build a network of people out there who know you, trust you, love you, and know that you're going to take great care of whoever they refer to you, you have to be consistent with how you treat people.
Yeah. See, if only I was as good as putting it into words the same as you.
Well, I think that makes sense, and I almost feel like for those people who aren't doing it the right way, they can make quick money. Sometimes the ROI will pencil, and people do get successful being slime balls for sure. Yeah. But I think that they have to do it that like the grind, like it's so much more of a grind because they never get access to the compound effect that we do. And Alex Hormozi says nothing compounds faster than goodwill, not even money. And the more people who feel like they owe you something, the more people who feel indebted because of what you've brought into their life, that's the magic key to scaling. And that's only done through relationships. And so I think in a way, like that's really what we want to do with KFA is like, and we're in a season where everybody's focused on themselves, on their pocketbooks, on trying to land another realtor to send them more deals. They're all focused on what's in it for me because they feel like they need to right now because they're desperate for anything to keep the lights on. And in that season, if we can be someone or a group, hopefully, God willing, to emerge as, hey, we were at least one of the people out here who, like, this entire time when everybody's focused on themselves, we were trying to focus on you guys and helping you through this. And that's what I want to hope to create. And who knows what will happen, like you said, I think we have to leave 50% of this world up to the mystical. But we all think we can control more than 50% of the equation. We can control our actions and intentions, but the rest is, whether you believe in God or karma or whatever it is, the rest is out of our control to some degree. We need someone else to pick up the phone and call us, and we can't make that happen. We can only set the stage for it and hope that our goodwill creates more and more of those opportunities.
And I think not to, it's a tough industry just like any other else, and it's cutthroat, and not to call anyone else like bad agent or something. That's farthest from, but there are agents that do operate outside of proper ethics or how to take care of their clients. I think realistically, I came through a situation myself personally a couple of weeks ago where it was an interfering agent outside of the transaction that shouldn't even be in the transaction talking, but they happened to know my clients, and I had a way to have to handle it, and I was being disrespected I think 3 times, very disrespected. I don't operate with disrespect in any way, period. There's just no reason. And you hear people like, why didn't you fight back, or why don't you say that? It's like, if I let one word stir me up, it's a word. At the end of the day, I give it meaning, not them. There's no reason. And realistically, it means I'm not looking out for my client. If I'm going to go head to head, like I can go head to head. I can hold my own. Trust me, I'm not lacking confidence in that. At the end of the day, the client is the one who's going to lose out on it. And they're the one they're going to have a sour taste in their mouth. They're going to feel like, okay, if these 2 other brokers are bickering, then I'm not being taken care of. Yeah. So it's never really worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
warrior in a garden. Like, you got to learn how to control it. But I'd be willing to bet that you probably set some boundaries through that.
100%.
Real estate agent. So, I think what people might say that, you're too nice or something like that, but like, but that's what I mean is like, you do have a backbone for yourself, and you were going to get walked over and disrespected.
You have to.
Kindness doesn't mean weakness.
Exactly.
The people who misunderstand that, maybe don't know the difference, but you can be kind and strong.
Those are usually the strongest people.
That's true. People who don't talk the most, listen more than they talk, sit in the back of the... That's the dangerous guy.
Another one of my dad's lessons, he's like, be the last person to talk. And there you go.
The guy that's in the back that's just watching everything, look out for him.
Just like, wait for my conclusion.
No, for sure.
But no, I mean, I love the industry. I love everyone I get to work with. You guys are amazing. And I think the more you align yourself with like-minded individuals that are covering a multitude of things, whether it's faith or living life in the right way or trying to work professionally. I also think, back to your point of relationships and burning bridges, some people are like, it's business or personal. To be honest, I think it's combined. I don't think there is a difference. I think if you're operating business and personal, but it's who you are and you combine those together, like let's say I have my own cousin, brother, sister, whomever, want to work with me. I don't just turn business all of a sudden. It's like, oh, that's it. Cross the T's, dot the I's. I don't know you until after that we're friends. It's like, no, that relationship is broken up. It's not natural. It's not organic. I think if you're able to, specifically with our industry, because it is a mixture of it all, if you're able to just have a baseline of how you work, what you're willing to do, you're going to take care of your people. And I think it just, you combine it, it's so much more authentic. I think people are going to be taken care of. And I have all this stuff not because of just who I am. Like I've had so many people that have given me the time of day that shouldn't have. So many successful agents and other mentors of mine, business owners and friends and folks, who've been working that, have spent the time that I've listened to learn from them and constantly learning from them to be able to have this mentality and then how they lead. And I think the more you align yourself with them, the more we can make our industry better. And hopefully weed out the people that aren't, willing to do that.
Well, I mean, the market might weed out a lot of that for us, but
yeah,
one of the things we're really enjoying about this is getting to meet people and start new relationships. And, obviously, ultimately we want to find new business partners and have new guests and new speakers and help people, have people help us grow KFA and all those things. But even at a more immediate level, getting to have relationships with people where we get to have these conversations, I think it helps all of us get through the tough times because we're all having similar experiences, maybe in different ways. But I think, one of the things that happened, especially during COVID, that's kind of carried over is we've all, sort of been isolated. And I think it helps to go through the challenging times with other people.
Well, I think it's a natural progression. I personally, I don't know for sure, but I feel like from what I'm hearing through people who hold events or classes, things like that, it seems like people are starting to self-isolate a little bit. And I think a lot of it, honestly, is born out of them maybe in their head telling themselves a story that's not true, maybe feeling embarrassed about their not showing up to as much, not the involvement. They haven't dropped out of the business. They still have their license, but they're not leaning in. You can tell they're starting to slip out and they're passing on more events and opportunities to grow or network or whatever. And I think that's common. Like that's a form of depression, right? Is when you want to isolate yourself. I've dealt with depression. I still do sometimes. And like the first thing I want to do is just lay in my bed under the covers and just like go to sleep. Like that's a natural way to like recluse. But I think, if we want to talk from the spiritual angle, I think that's a trick of whether you call it the force of average and on the planet, Satan or whatever, trying to convince us that we need to do that. We need to be alone. But I think everything is easier when you're in a community setting, especially because whatever false story we're telling ourselves, we used to do 30 deals in a year and I've only done 9 this year and poor me, I suck. Well, when you get in a room with 20, 30, 40 other people and you realize, oh, like all of our businesses are down. So it's not me. And, and you start beating yourself up a little bit and then it's like, all right, we're all going to struggle together.
Well, that's a good point too. And I think wrapping it in the way that we were saying, if you're with like-minded people, honestly, if you're making 30 deals a year or you're making 5, is it a money thing? Is it a volume thing? Like, what are you comparing? Because there's a lot of people that make small deals, but those deals are big and they're making a lot more than 40 deals a year. Sure. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think it gets to a point where is it competition where like, I have multiple streams that are constantly working on. This year has been personally rough. Yeah. And whether business or my personal things that are happening outside of that affects you, but that doesn't mean it's like I'm making less money or you're making more, all that stuff. And I think there's a few agents in another group I'm in. They were open about that. And it's so nice. Sure. We're like, you know what, I've been struggling. We're like, let's help you. Let's get together. Let's make it. Because at the end of the day, if we're all working together, we are all benefiting.
We were actually talking about this the other day at our sales training a little bit. And there's certainly the competitive nature that a lot of us have. But I think I think maybe what Dayton was pointing to is, we're, depending on whether you're in the mortgage or real estate side, we're somewhere around 20, 21 months into this housing recession. And a lot of people are getting tired. A lot of people are burning out. There's a lot of apathy. And I think for some people it's depression. Some people it's, just don't know what to do. But I think for a lot of it is a lot of folks in our industry, both on the real estate side and the mortgage side, really had sort of an identity of being a real estate agent. Their identity was being a mortgage person. Their identity was the level of success that they'd had in recent years. And when that starts to go away and you throw everything you got at it and it's not enough, it starts to really chip away. And so we were talking about this, and just because we're on a podcast, I want to take a moment here. Everybody who's listening, when we talked about that person who's kind of backing off and kind of checking out a little bit, if somebody came to mind, call that person. Just ask them how they're doing. We all need to step up right now and reach out to people and just take that 5 minutes to make that call and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Because there's a lot of people that are struggling. A lot of people are hurting. And I'm hoping that we're getting closer to the end of the season than the beginning, but we don't know. And I think that that's something we can all, put a little bit of energy into. And so
I 100% agree.
And I 100% agree, because I think that I've overcome a lot of this, but about myself personally, but that's me. I mean, 100%. And the issue is, if we have too much ego involved, when times are good and we're crushing it, we give ourselves the credit. And we're like, I'm the man. Like, even if we're not openly cocky about it, like in our head, we're like, I'm getting really good at this. I made how much this year? And so when we go a long stretch of time feeling like, well, every year I keep doing it, keep putting the deals on the board, keep getting the checks, and then it goes away, we realize how little, it actually had to do with us. And that's hard to digest. And I don't want to say little, but like we weren't everything here. Yeah. There were some wins that were carrying us, and like what you said, though, the loss of identity. And that's what I worry about more than people falling out of this business. Like, I want to see all of our friends survive this, weather the storm, and stay in the business. Some people may get out of the business, find something else that they love more, and like it ended up working for their benefit. But what I worry more about is when people lose their identity, them falling into worse times. I mean, we live in a world now where like drug abuse, suicide, depression, that stuff's real, and it's climbing alarmingly fast. And that's what I worry about more than anything. And I think, isn't our industry one of the top, like other than lawyers and doctors, the highest?
Dentists, I think, is one of the big ones.
Yeah, one of the highest.
I don't know the rankings, but it's up there. I didn't mean to turn this podcast.
No, and that's honestly fine.
The real stuff that we should talk about.
Whenever the opportunity presents itself because you never know when somebody might make that call that it changes the direction of that person's life. So I just feel like, we talked about this a lot during COVID too. There's a mental health crisis in this country, and we need to take some time to help each other out. So, not to take the whole conversation there, but
I think just to support your comment and both yours as well. And I don't talk about this publicly often. In our culture too, for me, the way I was raised is, you're tough, you're tough, you're tough, you're tough. You build, you constantly, breach the glass ceiling, go for the next one. And I've been in that position my whole life.
Achievement based.
Either achievement, or you're constantly able to have the mental strength to push through and go. I constantly am the type of person where I love a heavy built schedule, toss things my way, and I'll be able to figure it out. Don't leave me alone. I don't like that. I don't like to be not busy or not crazy. And to your comment of depression, things like that, maybe it was a lesson for me, and God made me stronger in doing it. But I went through a few life changes that I think I was definitely depressed. Yeah. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to ask for help. I did not know where to go, how to go. I kept pushing and pushing and pushing until I'm very fortunate to have an amazing support system and family, but even them, they don't deal with it. Mental health isn't a thing that we, either you push through or you go, or, you figure out, or you kind of push it under the rug and hopefully it goes away, kind of thing. Yeah. So it took a while for people around me, for me to officially understand my feelings, to say, I think I'm not doing well here. And I think it's when you get to that point and you're able to address it, then you really do get better. Yeah. And honestly, it's a constant battle. It's like, life is like this, and we have to ride the roller coaster. But if you have the right people, and to your point, reaching out and making sure, I was very fortunate that I did have people reach out to me, and it made a world difference. It got me out of the house. It got me out of the personal situation that I was in. And for me, it affected both emotionally, my family, financially, everything. Like, it took my life to a position where I was like, I'm not a bad person. I don't know why this is happening to me, but it took years to recover. Yeah. But you're right, 100%. I think for me, I try to do my best where I'm never too busy enough. That if I think of somebody, I just say, thought of you, quick hello, past your house, hi, how are you? I've been very fortunate to have that happen to me, and it's put me in a better mental space.
Right. And I think it's interesting you bring that up. Like, it frustrates me because, and I know everybody has their own outlook to how they view strength, but I feel like the people who are willing to be vulnerable, who could sit on stage, like when I see someone be real from stage and with tears in their eyes, holding like, and they're getting choked up, and but they're still sharing their message or their testimony. There's nothing more like I don't think be a man, right? Like there's nothing more manly or like just awe-inspiring than someone willing to be vulnerable, because half the audience or most of us in the audience are sitting back there and we know I couldn't do that. That's uncomfortable. But look at them pushing through their discomfort and being vulnerable. And but for some reason this world tells us that the strong thing to do is to hold it inside. Don't bring other people into it. Don't, but it's like, is that really harder than being vulnerable and telling your truth?
And I think with that too is it's a tough world that we live in. So I think it's also understanding who you're being vulnerable to, if they're going to be receptive, if they're going to use it as ammo against you. Sure. Unfortunately, I think some of that stems from that last comment where sometimes you're vulnerable to the wrong people. And I've experienced this in my life where I'm working on being successful. I don't have any intention of ruining your success or anyone else's success. But I've realized some of the people that are closest to you don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to figure it out.
Force of average.
Yeah. Or sometimes
that makes sense, because if you're successful, then.
But it's kind of funny because
I don't see excuses. Right?
Yeah, what I'm working towards, I always say, I am very wealthy. Rich, I will be. Wealthy, I am, because the things that I have in my life, no amount of money can buy. Mm-hmm. I've been beyond blessed. And so when I'm trying to hustle and do what I can to build the life that I want, obviously monetarily, we all need it. It's a means to an end in this world. Mm-hmm. And you're around people where you think, you're open up to them, and you can tell you have a vibe that they don't wish you well. Those people stay away from, because that association is only going to hurt you later on. We have a saying that's, again, Middle Eastern saying, so let's see if I translate this well. A friend who will tell you the truth, I think, either make you cry and cry with you, not have you laughing at you. Basically, someone who's by your side, who understands life. Forget ego, just being a human being. And I think understanding that if your time hasn't come, it will come. You will fall and you will learn a lesson. And there's a reason for everything that happens. So it's like, you're going to need people around you when that time happens to you. So it's like, think about that, right? Not kick your friend when they're down, or don't care because it doesn't suit you. And I just try to keep that in my mind, because maybe, again, I'm very fortunate with, I'm 90 years old on the inside, I feel, but I've had a lot of lessons in life that, and even when my ego got the best of me, and literally I walk outside and God literally gives it right back. I was like, fine, I learned my lesson. You're right. Like I talk with them. It's like, oh, I effed up.
You're making us look bad, because it takes me way longer to learn my lessons.
Well, no, so. I've fell through so many times, like I'm speaking from experience. Sure. And I've been through a lot of places where it's like, so it took a long time to recognize. If you're not humble, the universe will humble you.
But I think one of the things that we were kind of talking about, or thought you were going there, is there's a thing we kind of refer to as the force of average, law of average, which is not, a mathematical statistical thing where you average, whatever, but it's more of when the people in your life, if you start to elevate yourself, some of them resist that.
Yes.
Because it makes them uncomfortable, because they're not doing the same thing, or it makes them feel like you're going to move to a different level without them, or there's a variety of reasons. It takes
their excuses away. And if you came from the same, and speaking from whether it's family or a close friend growing up, and you share a lot of the similarities in your story and your background, and you've been comfortable and at this place in both your lives, but you start to take off, and then they start to realize, like, all the excuses they've told themselves, well, it can't be true because Amil fought through them, and that's uncomfortable. And so they might try and subtly or not so subtly pull you down. But like one of my favorite things, like if your friend comes to you and says, you changed, you should look back at them and go, you haven't? Like, what are you talking about? Why would we ever stay the same? We should be changing. Like,
but isn't that also defined in different ways for most people, don't you think? Because like, I feel like success is defined differently for a lot of people.
Sure.
I was told before, it's like, if you speak to a person who's content and successful in their life by their own definition, whether that's money, whether that's making 50 a year and you're happy, you're healthy, you're safe, you can take your vacation once a year. You know, making more money to me, I've realized, does come with problems. It's not always I'm making more money, I'm more free. No, it comes with like, let's go shopping for new Benz, let's go buy this Rolex, or let's go do that. And all of a sudden your money dwindles. And again, another Milad saying, money is like salt, a drop of water, it melts away. So it's like, if you're successful by just money, that means nothing, right? But I think if you're around people that are successful and content with who they are and they know who they are as a people, whether they're rich or poor, they will elevate you. Like you come to them with your issues or your problems, they will only help you. You'll never kind of feel negativity from them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, everybody's got their own frame that they look at success, and some people, view money as the measurement. Others, view money as a tool to go and achieve the things that they actually care about. So, but at the end of the day, it's not a judgment on other people. I think it's just an acknowledgement. When you see that in your life, where it feels like somebody's trying to pull you down, and you don't really understand why. It could be the force of average, and it's also the reason why people say, if you want to change. And this is not me coaching, but I think about this myself. If I want to change my level of success, I got to change the people I'm surrounded by. It's one of the benefits we talked about early on with KFA. Like we want to get around the people that share our beliefs and share our values, and make us want to grow and be better and help pull us up. Not that the people we were associating with before weren't, but if you upgrade your surroundings, you can upgrade your situation.
Yeah, and I love it. And I know we're trying to be, there's a lot of things that we're saying, so not to offend anybody, but I think the reality of life is what it is. We all learn to associate with the people that we want to be like. Like for me, if I'm taking advice from somebody, I'm going to take advice from someone who has what I want with a lifestyle, because you learn to grow. Yeah. And I think regardless of how successful you are, if you can't identify that, then you have a lot to work on personally, right? It's like, there's times where I feel like I'm soaring. Literally, it's like, whoop, knock down to earth. You're human. You're making a mistake or something happens, or, and I've got advice from my younger sister or a 13-year-old kid who has, like, literally in church, he had a different outlook on life. And I looked at it, I was like, I really messed up today, So you never know where it comes from, but I think be open and receptive to it.
Yeah. Well, and like success or happiness or whatever you're chasing, I also think it probably should be tied to something internal, not external, not just the results. Like, are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you happy that you are growing? And I think like most people just don't. That's a really hard thing to get into your life. I think that from a spiritual level, a lot of religions actually help with that and help you find that. But I mean, it's like, I look around and I think that most people suffer from trying to find happiness outside. It's like, and but it makes sense because it's hard to find it inside if you're not if you personally think you're kind of a scumbag because you cut corners and you're not doing things right, it's going to be hard to be happy inside sitting with yourself in a quiet room.
That's another conversation for a long, long time. Happiness. I think it's so funny. Again, I think I'm 90 years old. I really am. Like, I'm meant to live 100 years ago, or just the mentality I always say jokingly, but I think people put too much pressure on happiness or illusion, or it's like the one all be all. I don't even know if I said that right, but for me, I think on that note, right, I deal with a lot of people who are like, I'm looking for my own happiness. I said, okay, what does that mean to you? And once they find happiness by their definition, they go do it. And I've literally had this comment, I was like, are you happy? And they're like, no. I fall short in not happy because I always put duty first, which is very, very, very bad in some ways and it's very great in other ways, where I have my responsibility, I think, as a son, as a future father and husband, and my responsibility to my parents and the people that have loved me and raised me. I try to keep that at the forefront of my head and how I lead my life. Sometimes too much, where like I'm sacrificing my own personal life, which is not how God made this earth. And the next chapter of his life, like, you're supposed to lead your own life and take care of your family, yes, but also do it in a way where like you're progressing forward, not just stalling your life. Sure. But a lot of people focus on happiness, where it's like, what is happiness?
Well, that's the question. What makes you happy?
To me, honestly, sometimes I've realized it's not about a life that I want. I've been where I've had $3 to my name, and I've been where I've had several $100,000 just sitting in a bank account, where did it make me happy? It made me feel secure, maybe, yes, financially set. But happy was, for me, where seeing my parents healthy, or I'm literally driving in a car that I can comfortably afford, and this is me being a guy, I guess, in my way. I like cars. And just driving comfortably on the freeway, hearing the engine and just listening to music, and for that quick 5 minutes, I feel fully at peace. There's nothing affecting me. No. That's happy. That's
what I mean. If you were to ask me what makes me happy, there's a long list of things. But since you brought up cars, I like cars as well. I have a couple of classic cars, and I don't have them as trophies, but I have them number 2 because I love driving them. But even more importantly than that, every single time I walk out of my garage to get a water or soda or take the garbage out, I smile. Every time I see my cars, I'm like, I love those cars. That's happiness to me. It's not about the money. I mean, the money afforded me the ability to get them. Working hard afforded me the ability to get the money, but it's the smile that I get every single time I go out there. It's the joy when you hear your kids laugh. It's coaching sports and watching, your kids celebrate victories. Those are the things that make me happy.
But happiness isn't something you can find, I don't think. I think it's a decision.
Yeah, you create it.
You get to decide how you feel about the stuff that you're perceiving that comes into your environment on a daily basis. You get to decide if, when your kid wakes you up in the middle of the night because you have a newborn, if you're upset about it or if you're grateful that you get to spend time with your kid. Wayne Salmons, that's a story that shook me to my core when he first told it a while ago about one of his friends that I think Wayne's, and I might be quoting it wrong, but
I remember it.
He
had a friend who was complaining. They were at a party.
Or I think one of his friends complaining to his friend.
Yeah, okay. Wayne was complaining to his friend about having to get up in the middle of the night to take care of his kids.
Yeah.
You want me to finish it?
And the friend just looked at him and pretty much just said, do you know how much I would give to be able to wake up in the middle of the night one more time with my kid because his kid had passed away.
And he said, you get to.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, you get to.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten that either since that day.
But I think it's just everything too. I mean, and that's where happiness starts with gratitude. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and he was asking his guest, like, if I told you, or tomorrow you wake up and I called you and I said, I'm giving you $1 million, would you be like through the moon? Like, would anything piss you off that day, or would you be happy all day because you had this massive win right away? Of course, that would be amazing. I said, okay, what if I told you you can have this $1 million, but in 24 hours you're not going to ever wake up again? You don't get it the next day. Life's over. Would you do it then? Well, no, of course not, because I wouldn't be alive to enjoy it. Well, then why don't we wake up in the morning with the same feeling like $1 million because we have another opportunity? Right. Because you just told me that having another day on this planet was more valuable to you than the $1 million, but we don't act like it.
Gluttony, social media. I think a lot of people, it's kind of funny, and you learn to measure yourself with the money that you have or the material things that you have. You kind of realize money is infinite. You can always create more. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And what's even worse is no matter how high your ambitions are, there's always someone better than you. Mm-hmm. So what's the point? Like, that's like a ladder that you're never going to stop climbing. Like, be content with who you are and build it. Money, use it as a resource to have what you need for the time that you have. Everyone's different. Like I said, you can make a lot of money, but your bills are twice the amount of money that you're making. You're screwed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the small things in life. And to go, full faith, for me as a Christian, everything else, real happiness is when it's time with Him. That's it, for me. That's my view on it. Yeah. Happiness is in the smallest things in life and whatever faith you believe, but truly at the end of it all, for me, that's it. Yeah. It's like, that's going to be real happiness where I'm not struggling. There's no more pain, where there's no more sickness or people, having a hard time. And to your point exactly, we've had a few friends of ours, which is extremely sad. A few of them, one in particular, I can't name names, but literally just woke up in 1 month, found out she has stage 4 cancer. And out of nowhere, fully healthy, no issues whatsoever. A daughter, a son, husband, life, friends, and all of a sudden now people are struggling to figure out the parties and all this drama, which Middle Easterns will always have their own drama and things going on. They realize, like, she's fighting for her life and her days are numbered, and God willing she has a long life to go, but stage 4, doctors don't know what's going on. It just appeared right then and there. It's like, that's hard, and that's a tough life. And it's sad that we get to a point where I'm constantly learning this lesson and trying to remind myself. We have to get to a point where something drastic has to happen to get a glimpse of life, learn our lesson. And unfortunately, we humans are creatures of habit. We go back to life again, social media and everything else. Like it's, if you don't find the small things in life that are going to fulfill you, literally nothing will.
Right. And that's why I say decision though, because
I agree.
Like our prehistoric brain, like we're wired to constantly look for the threats. Like where's the mountain lion coming out of the bushes to kill us?
Why are you looking at me right
and
now?
So, sorry. Because
we were
you're a
just talking
goddamn
about
threat, baby.
I woke up this morning looking for the threats. I came in the office. I'm like, oh my God, this is going wrong and that's going wrong. And Jerome Powell, if he doesn't shut his face, I'm going to kill him.
It's just like we're going to create them. Even if everything's great, we have millions of dollars we're still going to find, and our brain's going to pay close attention to the stuff that irritates us, pisses us off. And and so we find that and then we realize when something like that happens and perspective comes into the equation, we realize, oh my gosh, why was I ever even... I have no time or energy to think about this other stuff. That's ridiculous, because the perspective comes into the equation. But I think that's the hard part, is like tapping more into our spiritual side, which is finding happiness and being grateful and living through gratitude, so that we can train ourselves. And I think it takes effort to train yourself to be able to live in that space more
daily. And for me too, also coming from a culture where you're constantly, like, for me, it was always like, do well, be the best you can be. Like for us, it was a grading system out of 9 to 10 when I was back home in Syria. And 9 is an A, but it's not like a 10. And I remember it was in college once, I was telling my dad, and my family and I have a very close relationship. I was like, hey, I got 98% on this, midterm. I'm very, very happy about it. I did well. And he's like, where's the extra 2%? I was like, I don't know. I misspelled my name. Like, it's an A still. Like, be happy for me. But it's always like that high pressure, And it's this, I think, realizing now, it's like, instead of taking that, I was like, you're like raining on my parade. I think change your mentality where it'd be like, he cares about me to ask why, I'm doing what I'm doing. Sure. He calls me in my business all the time, right? But it's like, I'm very grateful to have, in my case, a father and mother who care so much about me. They're willing to like ruin their day to put me on the right path. We've had a few things happen to us in the last few years, one of which is we almost lost my dad on Father's Day. And I guess we have health issues in the family, heart-wise, and so in diabetes, I was like, rack it all up, like fat, bald, what else could we get? Like just stack it on us. But we almost lost him on Father's Day, and he's the type of person where he always put his family first. And when you realize with money, it's like 100%, he had a heart attack, and I can sense the symptoms coming. So I told my mom, I was like, rush him. The guy never goes to the doctor. Like ever. You have to drag them to the doctor. Yeah. But it got so bad to the point where we're making it to the emergency room, and he literally was running through because he realized something was about him. So he suffered 2 major heart attacks and a stroke, and we had 1 month where we were walking on eggshells where like his heart wall was so bad that a small spike in blood pressure, I guess, or anything else, it'll puncture through and we would lose him right there. Not even the medication or anything could save him at that point. So we found that out, and I was literally planning. I was like, okay, I got my house, we got money, we'll resell this. You kind of think of like, how do we have him, not the money. Yeah. And it just goes to show where it's like, at the end of the day, when you're tested in life, money is a tool, it helps you, but God forbid, even if you don't have it, your life, your family, the people that you have in your world, your chosen family, which is your friends and all that stuff, that's really what matters. We're human beings at the end of the day. Right, money is just a resource. And for him, I was like, okay, great. And I was like, your life. I was like, no, forget my house, forget everything else, all my belongings. Like, none of it has any value compared to my own dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, and I think the more, like I said, social media, it's all the Bentleys and the diamonds and all that stuff. And I like it just as much as the other person. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you have to focus on the real things in life that actually matter. Not the money. You got some ice on your Bentley? I got one day. Get ice on the Rolex. Be like, let's go. No.
All right. Well, I think if that's good with you guys,
I think you nailed it, Amil. That was easy, right?
Yeah. Appreciate you having me. I was very nervous, to be honest.
Just hanging out, man.
Just a conversation among friends. That's how it goes.
I love it.